It's time for the Bird Brains. News and notes about the Baltimore Orioles and their minor league affiliates. With our own Bird Brain hosts, Dave Biesecker and Jeff Bacon. Buckle up, sit back, and enjoy. You never know what's coming with the Bird Brains.
Well, here we are, Dave. I'm on the road this week. Yeah, I'm on the road. We're actually in the office building of the Southern Information Desk, and with that, we have Derek, our Southern informant. So,
well, he's always full of good information.
He is
full of something.
He's full of it. He's full of it. Yeah.
He's been accused of that several times, of being full of it.
So you and I just switched places this week, because last week I was down south.
Right.
In Myrtle Beach, and now you're down south. So.
Right. It's beautiful here right now, so
we're
going to enjoy it. But how are we enjoying Oriole baseball these days?
Well, if you take September as a sample, we're 11-4 in the month of September. Right.
Right.
And if my memory serves me right, we swept 3 against the Padres, 3 against the Pirates, 3 against the White Sox. We took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, and then we had to go in and face Toronto, and we got swept out of Toronto.
Wasn't that something?
11-4.
Well, and then they just swept the White Sox. So yeah,
right. So we're up to we're 72-80, I think, on the season.
Yeah, they're 8 games under 500, which is what that works out to. And if anybody really is looking for an inside competition here, they'd need to win 9 of their last 10 to get to the 500 mark. So,
and let's talk about how possible that's going to be, because look who they play next.
Yep, they
have 4 against the Yankees starting tonight,
right?
And then they have 3 against the Rays, and I guess that's at home, right?
Yeah, all of those are at home.
Yeah, and then they go to the Bronx.
And then they have to go to New York.
Yeah, so that would be a perfect way to end the season, just spoiling things and putting the Yankees on a down note going into the off season.
Yeah. So, I'd like to make it feel a little bit like 2011. That would be great. When we knocked the Red Sox out of the playoffs or out of the maybe we could take the Yankees out of the wild card home field advantage if we could just beat them enough times.
That'd be great. Yeah, but it wouldn't be a week in Orioles 2025 without some catastrophic news, and
somebody's got to get hurt.
Well, so we've got both Sean Dubin and Albert Suarez getting imaging done right now for right elbow tenderness. Now
aren't you tired of those 3 words?
I tell you, that's about the worst 3 words you can hear for a pitcher, and to have 2 more guys, not that Dubin was a mainstay or a regular per se, but isn't that just indicative? I'd be hesitant if I were a free agent or had been DFA'd. I'd be hesitant to sign on to this team right now because the mojo. Yeah. I mean, if I were a pitcher, I'd stay away. Suarez got through 3 innings on Sunday in Toronto, through 53 pitches, and that was it. Now, on the bright side, we saw the return of Jordan Westberg and Tyler O'Neill. They both come off the IL. Transactionally, the O's DFA'd Carson Ragsdale, who gave up 8 runs on Sunday. Isn't that great? And
see you later.
They claimed Luis Castillo off waivers. Castillo, for those who care, and I don't even know if he'll play into next year's bullpen or not, but he's a lefty who's pitched for 3 major league teams already this year, the Diamondbacks, the Mets, and the Mariners, and he was just let go by the Mariners. So he's currently carrying a 4.38 ERA, and teams are hitting .337 against him. So we'll see if we can put him in the magic laboratory of pitching in Baltimore and either blow out his elbow or make him into an all-star. I mean, it's one of the 2 things. I don't know what it's going to be. I mean, because
you
look at Rico Garcia, he was kind of the same thing. He was given up on.
True. He
comes to Baltimore and suddenly he's an effective reliever. I don't know what to make of that.
I don't either. Except, sometimes with these guys, it just depends on on the place they find themselves. I mean, they can turn it around just by going from one team to another. I don't know why it clicks in one place and why it doesn't click in another.
So, are you a believer in a change of scenery, Derek? Is that a thing? I mean,
for pitchers, I think it's less about luck than what you guys are making it out. Guys get hurt at a rate now that is they're trying to figure it out why it's happening. I can tell you why it's happening. It's because they're gassing 110% on every pitch.
Right.
That's right.
And that's just how they're taught nowadays. And arm angles and people are just blowing their arms out more.
Spin rate, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's that many more stresses, I guess, they're putting on the arm. So
a lot of teams are going through it. It's not just the O's. I mean, the Dodgers have had it even worse this year.
They have.
There's a couple teams that are just been obliterated, with pitching injuries. But yeah, the Orioles are right at the top of the list. There's no doubt about it.
The kids are getting, and their coaches and their parents are getting inundated with these videos on Facebook and on other baseball training websites on how to get your kid to throw max speed all the time, and you can tell, that kind of max effort all the time is just going to be tremendously hard on the arm.
Well,
if you listen to veteran pitch. Go ahead.
There's a lot of outfits now that are catering to a market that didn't used to even be there, where these performance labs or whatever, where you bring these kids in at a young age and they work them out weekly. And, of course, kids in the warmer climates are playing baseball all year round. And to me, I don't know that that's really healthy. I never really advocated for that. Didn't really like it, but different folks from, different quadrants, either want that out of those players or they would rather see them, there's like two camps on that. Some like to see multi-sport athletes. Others like to see a focused approach to the sport. I don't know. To me, I think too much in a year would be easy to do in baseball. I don't know.
Oh, I believe so.
There's a reason, though, that they have these guys on such short pitch counts and we don't see guys get past the sixth inning. It's because they're trying to be cautious of this problem, but I don't think that they're addressing the real issue. But reeling it back into the Orioles, I think the elephant in the room going into next year is the bullpen in general, because they traded away so much at the deadline. You lose Batista now. They have to overhaul going into next year. They anybody that had any value, they let go at the trade deadline.
But interestingly enough, since then their bullpen's been better. It's actually been better. So walk
me through these guys you think will actually be good next year that are in this bullpen right now.
Well, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, yesterday Tyler Wells, they had him starting, and his ERA in 3 starts since he came back is 2.04. But for me, I would like, given their situation, I would like to see them make Tyler Wells a closer because he's done it before. What do you think?
He's a candidate, no doubt about
it. So to me, to go out and reach for a closer when you have a guy that has the stuff but has had trouble staying healthy when in a rotation, I think it kind of makes a little more sense maybe if they just look to a guy they have to be an effective closer. Right now, Rico Garcia has pitched his way, I think, at least into another year with him. I think Dietrich Enns, and stop me or interject here, Dave, Dietrich Enns is another guy that I think has done pretty well.
I agree.
Grant Wolfram, I think he's got potential here. I mean, I'm a little bit like Pinocchio on the Geico commercial. You have potential. But, I think they've actually, if you look at the numbers, and it is surprising, they have actually been better without the likes of Dominguez and Soto and those guys. So, it's hard to say. I mean, I agree. I thought, and we mentioned this before, I thought in the past the front office has done a good job of replenishing bullpen when they needed it. But trading away as much as they did, I was very skeptical that they'd be able to do it again, and let alone to do it this quickly.
I want to talk to your to Derek there. So Derek, if you look down the roster of the bullpen as it is now, Keegan Aiken, is he there next year?
I would think, but he hasn't been great, has he? I mean, he's blown some. I mean, they've tried to kind of plug him in late inning, high leverage situations, and he hasn't really come through.
I think he's there. I think he's there by default right now. I think Keegan Aiken is more of a longer reliever guy.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm just asking. He's there next year.
Okay.
Is Cano there next year?
He's got team control.
Yeah.
So
I think he is too, for that reason.
okay.
Is Enns there next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is Garcia there next year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Geraldo, I'm not even mentioning him. He's probably not there next year. Is Stroud there next year?
Absolutely. He was one.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. He was one that they had to protect him from the Rule 5 draft this year, and they did that.
So Jeff and Derek, you say all those guys are there. We already said maybe Wells goes to the bullpen. I agree. He's got closer stuff. Although I keep hearing them say that he's going to be a starter. But when we talk about that bullpen's not going to be the same next year, that's a good bit of that bullpen.
That is.
You know?
It is.
And most bullpens are populated by guys that you've never heard of before at the beginning of the year.
That's true.
So they're gonna fill that bullpen. If all those guys are there, those are the names that we're going to recognize from this year.
Right. That's true. And I do think, looking ahead to next year, that probably the biggest thing they need to do is go out and try to get another frontline starter. And
they gotta get an ace.
Yeah, I think they do, because even though I think Bradish has shown flashes of having ace stuff, and I think
Rogers
is certainly flashing. If you added another guy in there, and then heaven forbid we'd ever see Grayson Rodriguez back into the form that we would expect, suddenly you would have a rotation that is noteworthy. And that isn't even mentioning Day Game Dean. So
what about Sugano and Eflin? Are either one of those two guys back?
I don't think Sagano's back. I think there's a chance that Eflin would take the offer. The qualifying offer. I think there's a chance.
You give him the qualifying offer. That gives him a chance then to build his resume for the following year.
Which I think you need to do that because you need the depth. But
that's what both of those guys to me are depth guys. Sugano, say what you will, he's been available all year.
Right.
That's true. He's durable.
There's value in that alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I would keep as many of those guys as I could, but are we all in agreement that they need an ace for next year?
I think so. I think so. And the other thing too, I was just kind of curious where they fell out this year from a salary perspective. I'm sure the Orioles are not one of these teams that's going to want to flirt with the luxury tax. And I was just kind of curious, and I looked it up. The Orioles were $65 million below the first luxury cap threshold this year. So they have plenty of room to go out and offer one of the big time deals if they can get the right guy.
The guy I've got my eye on is Framber Valdez. And one of the main reasons, did you guys see him blowing off his catcher's signal and then throwing the wrong pitch on purpose and nailing him with like a fastball right in his gut?
No, I did not see that. Have you ever done that to your catcher, Dave?
Absolutely not. No, I never threw at a guy.
Well, he threw at his own catcher. He's thinking a breaking ball's coming, and he just hums 98 right down the middle, hits him right in the chest, and it was clearly he's in the last year of his deal. It doesn't sound like they're extending him, the Astros, and I'm thinking, hey, come to Baltimore if you're unhappy.
Well, I don't know that Sam Basayo would take too kindly to that.
I don't know.
Maybe he wouldn't do that to Sam Basayo just because Sam is a mountain.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
But those are the type of character issues I look for, though, in players. I mean, you buy low on a guy like that. He does something like that.
Well, speaking of characters, one of the guys that we promised to walk through here a little bit was Jeremiah Jackson. We mentioned last week we were going to talk about him. So I did a little background on him. He was picked up as a free agent from the Mets in November of last year. And he began this year with the Orioles at their Double-A team in Chesapeake. He hit .254 in 189 plate appearances there. He then progressed to Norfolk, where he hit .377 in 171 plate appearances, and then the O's called him up after the trade deadline. And he's hit .289 with them in 157 plate appearances, 5 home runs. His runs created, the WRC plus stat, is 120 right now. He has been a very effective surprise, a guy that's gotten an opportunity where maybe in another situation he wouldn't have. And suddenly he is at least on your radar for maybe next year taking like a utility type spot, because they've just converted him. He's just started playing outfield at the major league level, and he was an infielder. So you got to ask yourself, with Jorge Mateo coming up, they have a club option on him next year. I have trouble believing they're going to pay Jorge Mateo $5.5 million next year.
Not when they can pay Jackson $800,000.
Right. So I think that's the kind of transition we're going to see, at least on the roster. He's been very impressive. He's come up in big spots and produced. The thing with him. And the thing I think everybody needs to keep in mind, this is a relatively new call-up by Major League standards. He has historically had a strikeout rate of over 25%. So that's always been his issue. His chase rate was over 40% at AAA. It's now at 37 at the Major League Baseball level. So, 37% chase rate is not going to do you well long term. So he's going to have to rein that in. So I don't know that it pays to get too excited over Jeremiah Jackson, but it sure has been nice to see him produce.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's just a little bit of rundown on Jeremiah Jackson. You got any thoughts on where he would fit in? Do you see him in that utility spot now that Urias is gone?
I think that super utility spot is perfect for him. He's versatile in the infield, versatile in the outfield. If he can get the strikeout rate down a little bit, keep it down, then he might be a productive guy in that 2-hole, or he might fit in really nice at the bottom of the lineup to help turn that lineup over. What do you think, Derek?
He's shown well. Who do you guys think is the starting center fielder opening day next year?
Well,
I tend to think Kowser.
Yeah, I would probably double that. I would probably think Kowser. Do you not think that? I mean, Enrique Bradfield Jr. is going to get some time with the big team in training camp, but I don't think they feel like he's ready yet.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that guy's not on the team right now. But if they go out and get somebody, then that domino effect leaves like a Jeremiah Jackson on the outside looking in of being on the roster, right? If they were to add another outfielder. So I tend to think they don't really have a true center fielder on the team right now, but I also think you've got Tyler O'Neill that's going to be on the team. You've got Dylan Beavers that needs to be on the team. Right. Obviously Kowser, and so is there really room to add another outfielder? I think in that scenario, a guy like Dylan Carlson gets left behind, as opposed to maybe Jeremiah Jackson, just because of the flexibility Jackson gives them and that utility aspect that Carlson, while he's a switch hitter, hasn't really been a strong hitter for them. So what do you think, Dave? Do you think Carlson would be the odd man out?
I think Carlson would be the odd man out. Yes, I do. And plus, I still think they need a really big bat in the lineup.
Well,
and I wonder where's that going to go whenever if they do that.
One of the saddest things I think we haven't really dealt with yet this year is what happened to Heston Kjerstad, because he was supposed to be a significant bat, and he would have been a guy that would have been in your outfield. But he was hitting just a $149 with 2 home runs and 6 RBI in 27 games after he was sent down to the Norfolk Tide. He was only hitting a 192 at the major league level. And what concerns me, we haven't heard anything out of the organization about Heston Kjerstad. On August the 4th, now this is well over a month ago, Tony Mansolino didn't offer any specifics. He just said that they had him on the IL and he was dealing with quote-unquote fatigue. And Mansolino went on to say that I'm not ready to share yet, but I will talk about it and figure out what we want to share with you, the media. But there's no information yet. So I'm concerned that it's not a physical problem. Because they're very sensitive about a lot of those things. If a guy has a sprained knee or a twisted ankle, they're pretty upfront about that kind of stuff. But when they start talking like that, kind of beating around a subject, it concerns me that it's a little more sensitive. And I hope he's able to turn it around. I hope he's able to be back out there in spring training and compete. But he's not your center fielder. And
he's not your right fielder either.
Yeah, unfortunately, he kind of played his way.
Wasn't good in the field.
Yeah, unfortunately, he kind of played his way into a DH type role because his outfield play was certainly below average, and that's part of the problem. So
that it kind of sounds like maybe Lyme's disease or something like that.
Really? Okay.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, you're almost hopeful that that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what you hope it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, going back to the big bat. I hope that they're not only counting on Basayo being that big bat. Being his rookie year.
Right.
I hope they're
You
not
need
laying
O'Neill to step up and hopefully be healthy. And Ryan Mountcastle too, I think is
he on the team next year?
I would say he's probably got more pressure on him than any Oriole going into next year.
Well, I think he's trade candidate.
I think you're right, Dave, because he offers, next year would be his last year under team control. So the offseason and or the trade deadline could see Mountie on the move. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure, if what the future holds. It has been encouraging here the last half since he's returned. He has hit, but he's not the big bopper that they need.
What are the vibes on Kobe Mayo? How are you guys feeling about him?
Well, Kobe Mayo, let me just say, Kobe Mayo, I think the jury's still out on him. I think they generally like to get 400 or 500 major league at bats, before. So far, Kobe Mayo has had 310 plate appearances at the major league level. And to me, it hasn't been impressive. He's hitting 187. He's got 9 home runs. That's nice. But, he seems to be pretty streaky, but, his wins above replacement, his runs created number is 69, so he's been below average, as opposed to a guy like Dylan Beavers who came up and immediately impressed. His runs created stat right now is 155. Now you'd take that. So
absolutely. About Kobe, we all know that the beginning, most of the season, it's not been good. It's not been good at all. But if you want to take 30 games the last 30 games as a small example, in the last he has gone, his slugging and his average have gone up. So let's see here. In the last 7 games, his slugging is 652. Mm-hmm. In the last 30 games, it was 352. His batting average right now for the last 7 games is 348. For the last 30 games, it's 185. So all I'm saying is it looks like there's a trend upwards.
He's trending up. So we'll see if he can finish strong. And, I don't think they're ready to give up on him yet, but I guess if somebody in Major League Baseball came at the front office with the right deal, I think either Mountcastle or Mayo, not both, but
I think they're battling for the starting first base job long term.
I would think you're right, and Mayo would have the advantage with his contract status. You know how many years he's got in.
Right. He's 5 years younger.
Right. Yeah. So I would imagine that would give him a little bit of an advantage because Mountie hasn't been that overwhelmingly productive to not give Mayo at least a chance. So, and of course, Basayo can play first base too. So that's another factor here. But
right.
So
if Mountcastle doesn't hit for power, he's not
right.
He's not going to be there much longer because you've got to have power out of that position. You have to.
Yeah. Well, once again, we want to thank everybody that's played along with us this year periodically and hit us up on bbaseball522@gmail.com. That's our email address. And we had one come in this week, Dave, from Dave in Greencastle. And it wasn't even you.
I was going to say.
But no, Dave Bear wrote us, and he gave us his top 5 all-time starting Oriole pitchers. And he had some familiar names here. Jim Palmer was at the top of his list. He had Mike Mussina, Mike Cuellar, and behind that he said great screwball. And he wasn't talking about his mental approach. He has Dave McNally in there and Mike Flanagan. So the Southpaws were well represented.
My 5.
Yeah. Yep. So
I agree, Dave.
But
He's a smart man.
he also has an honorable mention there, and I can't believe we didn't do this as well, for Don Fullpack Stanhouse. Just for the entertainment value is what he said of Earl Weaver's reactions. Unfortunately, he goes on to say that it probably caused poor Earl to spend too much money on antacids and cigarettes watching Stanhouse pitch. So,
probably took a few years off Earl's life for all the cigarettes that he smoked.
That's right.
Derek, you never got to see Stanhouse pitch, did you?
No, that went way over my head.
Yeah,
so,
no, he's a figure from the 1970s, but he was an interesting character, and just watching the interaction with Earl Weaver was priceless because
don't forget the fro that he had that was sticking out.
Oh yeah, it was great back in the day. You had to pull up some YouTube videos of Don Fullpack Stanhouse. Yeah, Dave also gave us a couple of thoughts that he wanted to pass along, which I thought were good observations. He wrote this. He said one final thought, not related to pitching, but rather on how this season unfolded. Right? He said one could expect, and we should have expected, because of the age of this core group of players, that the sophomore slump was almost inevitable, whether it's through pitching injuries or unexpected injuries or just regression and all of that in performance. He mentions that teams of this age need a leader and need real leadership in the locker room. And he goes on to say that unfortunately the 2 great clubhouse guys that they had there were James McCann and Anthony Santander, and they just weren't with the team this year. And he just felt like that they lacked that leadership, and bringing in Tyler O'Neill, he didn't see him as the replacement for Santander's leadership. So, because he went on to say how many guys lead any better than James McCann when he's when was the last time you saw someone take a fastball in the face in the second inning and finish the game? Now that's leadership, right? I don't know if that's leadership or a little crazy, but yeah, I get the point, and I think there was something to that. I don't know what your thoughts on that were. Do you think, Derek, that leadership on a baseball team is, 162 game grind? Do you think that's a thing that you really have to worry with? I don't know.
I think on a young team, it's probably more important. But you'd like to see one of these young guys emerge as a leader.
You would.
I mean, there's, I don't know. Where's the accountability for the guys that are on the 26-man roster right now? They're all professionals. Why can't there be some leadership or somebody take that next step? It's to me, I would rather have talent,
right?
But it seems silly that it would be so important. But I actually tend to agree with Dave that maybe is one of the reasons.
Right.
That and starting pitching health. But
yeah. Well, we're gonna have to wind this one up. But your thought, Dave, on that as we close out?
I hear leadership mentioned all the time from the guys that you listen to on TV and on radio. They talk a lot about it, so I have to assume that it's important.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of with Derek. I'd rather have talent, and I'd rather have the guys that are identified as the core playing up to their fullest potential, and that being the kind of leadership that would inspire the team.
I know leadership's important with this group here on the Bird Brains, and we're probably lacking in it because I'm afraid. As is evidenced by the product we put out. But anyway, that's going to do it for us again. For the Bird Brains, I'm Jeff Baker.
I'm Dave Biesecker.
And I'm Derek Baker.
Go!
O's.